Hello, everyone. It's Dr. Manjiri Nadkarni back today for another session on Nutrition Month. So, today we are going to talk about foods that will create a lot of inflammation in your body. I'm slightly delayed because I had an out of town client and I didn't want to cancel. So, I know I'm a little bit late for today's Nutrition Month. I'm just going to log on. Um, Okay, let me see if somebody's live here or not. Perfect. So, discard. Okay. Okay. Perfect. I think I'm connected. Okay, so I'm live on Instagram as well as Facebook, and we are talking about the 10 foods that are extremely important for you to avoid if you want to lower your inflammation, right? So, inflammation is one of the most commonly thrown around words in today's world. And when we talk about inflammation, typically inflammation is the acute inflammation that we hear about, right? Arthritis, oh, my knee hurts or my joint hurts and it's really sore and hot. And sometimes there is not this acute inflammation, but a lot of the times there is a lot of chronic low grade inflammation that's occurring in your body. And that is the one that's causing your body to create pathogenesis in the body, or that results into pathogenesis in the body. Low grade inflammation has been linked to many diseases, whether we talk about cancer, whether we talk about Alzheimer's and different kinds of dementias, or whether we talk about any kind of arthritis, whether we talk about type 2 diabetes. So different mechanisms are at play when you have this low grade inflammation. I'm going to say a quick hi to Sarnia Osteopathy, Megan, then we have Chetna, we have Devyani. Hi, Devyani. Nice to see you after long too. Mary Alice is here on Facebook. So thank you for joining me live. So these foods, there are certain foods that you could be eating on a daily basis, and that will create a lot of inflammatory response in your body, right? And if you look at the cancer numbers, the World Cancer Research Fund, it estimates that about 8 million people die from cancer each year, right? And I'm not going to go too much into statistics, but if you look at the diet, there is a huge link between what you're eating and how you feel and what's going on in the body. And these foods that I'm going to talk about can release a lot of inflammatory agents in your body, constantly make you feel tired, fatigued. You're going to feel blah all the time. You'll feel that you have no energy. You could be constipated. You could start retaining a lot of water. You could get headaches, or you could even have a lot of weight gain. So these are the things we are going to talk about. So, hey, Megan, so let's get started. So the number one food that we need to avoid from our diet, number one inflammatory agent, is refined sugar, right? So refined sugar is linked to everything from tooth decay to increased risk of obesity, metabolic syndrome, type 2 diabetes, as well as chronic inflammation, right? And this is one thing that is sneaked in a lot of foods. So right from your flavored potato chips to your fruit drinks and energy drinks and sport drinks, a lot of the candy, desserts, pastries, sweets, snacks will have sugar. But it's interesting to understand there's 39 to 40 grams of sugar in a can of Coke or in a can of pop, right? Your fruit juice is going to have 30 to 40 grams of sugar as well. And sugar is disguised in foods in the name of corn syrup, fructose, dextrose, golden syrup, sucrose, maltose. So these are all sugars that are present. And excess sugar is going to create an inflammatory response in the body, right? So excess sugar, if you're having on a daily basis, it's going to make your insulin, your fat burning hormone, insensitive, right? Insensitive to the insulin, and that will cause a lot of issues in the body like metabolic syndrome. So one simple replacement you can do is you can go for natural substitutes. You could have stevia, you could have honey, you could have blackstrap molasses, right? Stevia xylitol, erythritol, monk fruit extract are natural calorie free sweeteners, and honey, maple syrup, blackstrap molasses are natural sweeteners, but they do have calories and they do have the potency to increase your blood sugar, right? Or the tendency to increase your blood sugar. So even natural sugars found in fruit are okay, but in moderation. So moderation is always going to be key, right? But anything that says refined sugar, please don't do add a lot of refined sugar. And coconut sugar is another good option if you're looking at sugar. Right now we are heading into a little bit more festivities. We have Holi on the 18th, then there's this Gudi Padwa, which I'm super excited about in 2 weeks. And with all the festivities come the sweets, right? So be mindful of what kind of sugar especially you use when you're cooking all your sweets, right? Stevia is a good option. Jaggery is better than sugar, right? Again, it's going to increase the blood sugar a little bit, so be mindful of what kind of sugars you're using, right? Now, common cooking oils we talk about, especially canola oil, or grapeseed oil, cottonseed oil, safflower oil, corn oil, sunflower oil. So they are not the best kind of oils, and especially they have high levels of omega 6 fatty acids, and they have extremely low amount of omega 3 fatty acids, right? Now, the ratio of omega 3s to omega 6s should be 2 is to 1, right? So you should have two parts of omega 3s in your body for every one part of omega 6. And when there was a research done into how much people really have it in their body, it was as low as 1 is to 20. So people just have one part of omega 3 for 20 parts of omega 6s. The more omega 6s you have in your diet, you will release a lot of inflammatory cytokines in the body, and that is why these cooking oils are not the best ones. Now, another interesting fact is cottonseed oil, though it's not used widely in North America, I have often seen cottonseed as an ingredient with pickles or some ready-made packaged foods in India. And when I was in Jamnagar for my MD studies, that was a region where cotton was grown a lot, and cotton seed oil was used in plenty. What that resulted in is a lot of cases of infertility, right? So cottonseed oil has been studied to lower your fertility rates, and that is why if there's one thing you want to absolutely get rid of in your diet, that would be the cottonseed oil. Again, canola oil or corn oil or safflower oil or sunflower, they're not as healthy. A lot of the common cooking oils are processed at high temperature, and they could also be oxidized very easily, right? So what you could use is you could go for either avocado oil, you could use coconut oil, you could use extra virgin oil in your daily diet. The third kind we're going to talk about is trans fats, and I have spoken about trans fats in one of the previous videos, right? So when we are eating a lot of trans fats, they will create a double whammy effect on the body. They will increase your bad cholesterol or LDL, and they would lower your good cholesterol or HDL, right? And they will increase the inflammation, they'll lead to obesity, they will create insulin resistance. They'll also lay the foundation of degenerative illness in the body. So, all your fast foods, deep fried foods, commercially baked foods, anything made with partially hydrogenated oil or vegetable shortening, peanut butter as well, right? So, common peanut butter, if you like your yummy peanut butter, it also has partially hydrogenated oil that's added to it, right? So something as simple as your everyday peanut butter contains trans fats, and it is extremely important to avoid these, right? I'm going to say a quick hi to Vaidya Prem Moga is here, Mamta is here as well. Thank you for watching, guys. Thanks so much. If you have questions, please post it in the question section. So anything that you're frying at high temperatures can create trans fats. If you're taking a oil which is liquid at room temperature, and if you pass a vat of hydrogen over it, you're going to make trans fats of it, right? So like margarine, again, people use it commonly here, is not the healthiest option. Even some of the vegan butters that are made, will have trans fats, so it's not really healthy, right? So again, what is the substitute? Natural peanut butter. If you're just crushing the peanuts and making natural peanut butter, that is completely fine. And if you use coconut oil as a spread on your toast in place of something like a vegan butter, that might be another good option, right? Dairy products. Now dairy is another big controversial topic when it comes to the Western world and even the Ayurvedic world, right? Because in the Ayurvedic text, we have always talked about how amazing milk is and how satmya, milk is, or how amazing, milk can replenish the body. But the fact remains that in Northern America, especially because you are in this kaphagenic land, right? It's the Anup Desh, where already there's a lot of kapha, where there's already lots of water, where there's lots of humidity, and milk is often of a different variety. So the casein structure here is the A1 casein, which is inflammatory, as opposed to the A2 casein, which is typically found in the Indian ghee cows, which is going to be the better one, right? So if you have the A1 casein on a daily basis, or if you are allergic to whey, this dairy is going to trigger inflammatory responses, like it will create IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, it will create skin rashes, it will create hives, it will create acne, it will create breathing difficulties, sinusitis, right? And it is a myth that everybody can digest milk. About 60% of today's population cannot digest milk easily, right? So avoiding milk products, you can have butter, or you can have clarified butter or ghee, because they hardly contain any milk proteins, right? So you could go for goat's milk as well if you really like the taste of milk, but you're like, okay, I'm not sure if I'm reacting to milk. Goat milk might be a better option for you, which has about 89% less casein. But you could definitely swap the milk products for something like goat milk, almond milk, coconut milk. Almond milk, again, or oat milk is not going to have a lot of nutritional value, right? So you want to make sure you're getting your nutrients elsewhere. It is a substitute for milk, but it's not like a nutritionally dense food or a complete food as we talk the milk to be, right? The fifth one that I'm going to talk about is, factory farmed meats, right? So if you're looking at commercially produced meats, all the animals are fed with grains like soybeans and corn. Again, this soy and corn is going to be a lot more genetically modified to cater to the mass production, right? And this is going to be very inflammatory. You're going to have more omega 6 fatty acids, and it's going to be extremely low in omega 3 fats, right? And due to the tight living space, so these cows, will gain excess fat. Their meats are going to be fattier, they will have more saturated fat in the body, right? And because they are also injected with hormones, they're fed with antibiotics, they're going to release all those into your body, right? So avoiding beef, avoiding pork, avoiding poultry that you find in supermarkets and restaurants, unless it's not free from hormones, or unless it's not free from you know antibiotics. So there are certain brands you can get now which are a bit expensive, but they're organic, they'll not add any antibiotics or hormones to the food, and you could definitely go for those varieties. But again, meat should be eaten sparingly. If you don't have a stronger digestion, you're not going to digest heavier amounts of meat unless you're somebody who's working out intensely, right? Especially pork is the one thing to be avoided, because it's so closer to the humans that it works fantastic when we use it in therapeutics like insulin and all. But if you go to eat pork, it's going to be extremely heavy to digest, right? um, a substitute, as I said, organic free range animals. You can get grass fed beef, you can get uh, chickens raised with grains, who are free run, right? Free run eggs is another option, so those are going to be a bit leaner. The sixth one is red meat and a lot of the processed meats, right? So processed meats, when we talk about red meat has a molecule that humans don't typically produce. It's called the new 5gc, right? And this, ingesting this is going to create a lot of the antibodies, which will create a chronic inflammatory response in the body, right? And it will be also responsible for being linked to cancers, right? So, especially a lot of red meat consumption has been studied and linked to colon cancer. So, that's one of the reasons why eating a lot of red meat is not the best option for you. And if you are looking at processed meat, if you are looking at cured meats, if you are looking at like sausages and stuff, they have the not so great cuts of meat. So everything that will is not utilized or is not packaged properly goes into making that mince or the sausage, right? It also have a lot of nitrites. It will have a lot of preservatives, so they are not going to be the best option for you, right? So whether you're talking about ham, whether you're talking about sausage or salami, so ideally avoiding that is going to be a better option. And slightly better, I have tried the beyond sausages. Again, some are made with pea protein. They do have the taste of pea meat, or they do taste like a meatier, right? Like almost like beef. So those are decent options if you want to cut the consumption of red meat and processed meat. Again, these sausages are processed as well, but they do have pea protein in place of the inflammatory red meat, right? So occasionally you can swapping, some natural vegan sausages for these ones are a good option. Again, certain vegan sausages can also have a lot of preservatives and are not always healthier, right? I'm gonna say a quick hi to Ishita. Green Thumb is here. NMCJME is here. Allah the Manohar is here. Prajakta is here as well. Okay. The seventh one is something that people will hate me for saying it, but it's one of the most inflammatory things ever. And this is something people have gotten so used to during the pandemic just to get over the stress, right? But that has to be gotten rid of. That is alcohol, right? So, alcohol is not your friend. As much as people love drinking or social drinking, or drinking the fanciest wine will make you feel fancier or make you feel happier, take the edge off. In long term, regular alcohol consumption is going to create a lot of irritation, not just in your gastrointestinal tract, but it's going to directly impact your liver. Your liver is your metabolic machinery in the body that is working extremely hard to detoxify the body, right? And make sure your body stays healthy. And if you're constantly bombarding yourself with alcohol, you're not doing yourself a flavor, right? So whether we talk about beer, cider, whether we talk about liquor, whether we talk about wines, liqueurs, like whatever we talk about, alcohol by nature is an irritant, and it will create irritation in your gut, and it is going to impact your liver no matter what you think, right? So one of the simplest ways is to swap it, right? You could go for some fizzy drink. If you like the fizziness of a drink, you could go for a fizzy clean drink, like a soda with a little bit of lemon juice. That's another option. You could go for some kind of teas, rose tea or some Japanese green tea would be another simple option, right? Kombucha has minimal alcohol, self generated as well, about 1 to 4%, I believe. That is a slightly better option, right? But ideally, cutting out all kinds of alcohol is one of the best things if you want to lower your inflammation. Now, refined grains, right? So, refined grains are again responsible nowadays for creating a lot of issues, especially with blood sugar and creating inflammation in the body, right? So, white rice, basmati rice. Now, I've seen people making khichiris, Ayurvedic khichiris out of basmati rice, but Ayurvedic khichdi never uses basmati rice. We always use a short grain, easily digestible rice to make khichdi, because khichdi is a recipe that's used to recover your body when you don't have a lot of digestive strength, right? And if you're bombarding yourself with the heavy basmati rice, It's not beneficial. It's not even a proper therapeutic khichdi. It's like a fancier version of the khichdi, right? So having a lot of grains, constantly having grains and not having vegetables is going to be a big problem. And grains, especially like rice or wheat, couscous, semolina, right? Semolina is broken wheat bulgur. If you're having too much of grains, if you're having too much of wheat, which is again more of an inflammatory grain, it is going to create issues for you, right? So rather than having a lot of cereal grains, you could also move towards grains that are part of the grass family, like amaranth is one, quinoa is one, right? They're not two true grains, they are more a part of the grass family, so they will be slightly better. The same with wild rice, right? So those are definitely one thing. So jeera, kolam, ambe rice, yeah, definitely. And see, the kolam rice or sona masuri, there is the indrayani rice. So these are the small varieties of rice, short grain varieties of rice, that are used and grown locally in different regions, and that's why they have this amazing names, right? So definitely you can use that. Another one that I recommend for people who are also wanting to balance your blood sugar, right? Go for something called the Kerala red rice. So Kerala is a region in India, and there is a specific type of rice grown which is tastier than brown rice. It's not polished, right? And it has more nutrients. It has a better nutrient profile than, the basmati rice that you can find. If you are based in Sarnia, you can find it at the JB Global, or you can find it at Bazaar 365 on London Road, right? So they have this Kerala red rice, and Kerala red rice is a little bit denser. It will fill you up, and it's absolutely delicious, right? So definitely adding a substitute to your white rice in the form of a healthier rice is a good option, right? And avoiding couscous or semolina as much as you can, right? I know they're quick and easy dishes, but food doesn't always have to be quick and easy, right? You should be able to allocate some time to nourishing yourself, which is extremely important. Now, the ninth one I'm going to talk about is any kind of artificial foods and preservatives, right? So, if you are adding a lot of preservatives or food additives, some common ones that I see is, people that chew gum, right? So there is a lot of aspartame added to the gum. If you're going for diet pop or Coke Zero, it will have aspartame in it. If you're going for a lot of Chinese takeouts, it will have MSG in it, right? A lot of bottled sauces will have MSG in it, which is monosodium glutamate. And MSG is a flavor enhancer, but it can make you extremely sick. It can create a lot of brain fog. It can trigger nausea and all, right? And especially if you have any kind of immune condition, these are the things to stay away from, right? So when you do a takeout, make sure it's MSG free. If you're looking for a gum, maybe have the one which is sweetened with xylitol rather than aspartame, right? So those are some simple substitutions. And the 10th one is any food that you are allergic to or you are sensitive to is going to be inflammatory for you. So if you haven't had food sensitivity testing done, you will never find out what you're reacting to, right? And it's not that, milk is going to react to everybody, or wheat is, the worst thing for everyone. The best example I give my clients is, if we both eat poison, we both die, because it's the nature of the poison to kill you. But if I eat wheat and get joint pain, you eat wheat and you get, diarrhea, or you drink milk and then you throw up or get a lot of stomach pain, it is your body's adaptation, right? So it's not satmia to you anymore, it's not compatible to you because of certain changes that have occurred in the body. And that is why you need to take the foods completely out of your diet that are creating the inflammation. And these are a category of foods known as food sensitivities or food allergies or food intolerances, right? So this will differ from individual to individual. If you are based in Sarnia, you can call me or you can call Blue Water Nutrition to book your appointment. And I check you for a list of 72 foods, whether it's gluten, whether it's dairy, what's going on with you. So we will be able to find out what exactly you're reacting to. And when you take that out, that's how you'll find relief. If you're gluten intolerant, taking the dairy out is not helping you. If you're dairy intolerant, taking the gluten or corn out is not really helping you. So you need to find out exactly what you're reacting to, right? So again, the question is, Devika, what about oats? Are they healthy to eat every day? So again, oats are healthy, right? Oats have good amounts of fiber, but they're also going to be slightly heavier to digest, right? Now, another thing is, when it comes to our diet, it's best to follow the diet that is ancestral, that is something we have grown up with, right? So when the Western world talks about oats or quinoa, we end up adding a lot of these foods in our diet, right? Or when we try to go towards yoga or ayurveda, a lot of my clients who are Canadians or grown up in the Western world, they will suddenly try to switch to a more Indian diet, right? And it may or may not work for you, and a lot of the times it does not work too well for you, because your body is also a product of your genetics, right? So always make sure what you're eating is compatible to yourself, right? And if you can digest the oats, they are going to work very well. So the sensitivity test that I do is, I do muscle testing for allergies, and so far I've had fantastic results with it. I've been doing it for over 5 years now, 6 years now in my practice, and I have had really good results when it comes to digestive issues or any kind of stomach pain, skin related conditions like eczema and all. I've had really good results with it. So definitely, these can be very accurate depending on where you do the test again, because there are like a million of tests that you can go for. So always talking to the practitioner, knowing what they do, will be able to give you an idea of the accuracy of the test, right? So that's my talk for today. No, Devika, you can't get it. It is an in-person test. I do muscle testing, so I can't do it over the phone. Like it's just done one-on-one, right? Um, so thank you all for watching. I took a day off yesterday. I'll be back tomorrow at 9 o'clock. We still have lots to cover in the nutrition month. And so stay tuned. Tomorrow we'll be talking more about micronutrients. We'll start talking about iron. We'll start talking a little bit about zinc and the macronutrients that you can find in your diet and how they are essential. And then I'll spend a day every day to talk about how you can source them naturally, right? And why these are important. So we'll talk a little bit about macronutrients tomorrow. Thank you all for watching this. If you think this is beneficial, please either send it to your friend or tag your friend, so they can watch this video as well, and that will help me spread the word. And thank you for taking the time and watching this. Have a fantastic day. Bye for now.